I like this. Making stuff cinematic. That's the topic of this video. And so I'm not a professional, but I am a filmmaker, and I do have my own opinions. And I wrote my opinions down in this book, and I just figured we could go over them, and maybe you'll learn something. And if you want me to learn something, comment down in the comments and learn it to me. I've been obsessed with the idea of making my stuff cinematic, like all my videos, and I've been doing research, I've been making videos, I've been doing all of the things you could possibly think of to learn how to do this skill of making videos as movie-like as possible. And it is a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. And I think I have enough to at least make a start. You know, it's kind of like a conversation about what I've learned. And I just want to document it and have, you know, maybe help some other people out that are also in this journey. Starting with the first thing I've noticed that has made the biggest difference, contrast. Really, it's just a contrast. Contrast between the light and then contrast in the colors. So this is kind of 2 in 1. The main thing with the light is the shadows need to be shadows, and you also need the light too. You can't just go one or the other, you need both. In this situation, there's not a whole lot of shadow. When I'm trying to make something look good, the first thing I'm looking for is the contrast in the lights and the contrast in the colors that I can do. Whether it be having my face, proper amount of light here and then proper amount of light right here. For instance, if I went and changed it up a little, that probably looks a whole lot better. So now there's more shadows on my face area right here, and then there's the light side right there. It's kind of like the yin and yang symbol, you know, you need both. There needs to be some contrast between them, or else it's not going to look very cinematic. If everything was just super bright, you wouldn't be watching it. So moving on to colors is sort of the same deal. If you understand like the color wheel, you want, you know, opposite ends. It doesn't have, like, you don't have to do that, and you also don't really have to follow the rule of contrast between the light either. You can go out and make whatever video you want and do whatever you want and experiment, but it's a good thing to go and test out. If you understand the color wheel, you know, there's like orange and yellowish and then blue and teal. Those are kind of opposites, and people still do it all the time. It's a great pair of colors to put together because the contrast between both of them is so amazing, which is why people always use them. And it's always you see them in movies all the time. The whole teal and orange idea is the contrast between the warm and then the cold colors. It just makes it more cinematic. Just, you know, contrast. The best way I feel like to do that is to film your videos in log or a flat profile, which is like basically just super flat, and then you can do more with it, which means you can pull the colors in whatever direction you want a lot more. Instead of if you were filming in just a regular color profile, you wouldn't be able to move them as much and do as much with it. And most normal people don't notice that. They just know it looks better. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the depth of field. That everyone focuses on depth of field. I'm sure you've looked it up as well, how to get depth of field, and you always see you want a camera with a low or a high aperture so that, you know, the thing can open up a lot more. The f-stop, you want that number to be really low, so it lets more light in for one, so you have more stuff to work with to get the contrast. But also the depth of field is, you know, the bokeh in the background, all the blurriness you see. That's how you get that. Also can get it from like further away with a longer lens. You can still get that depth of field. You don't need to be super low in the f-stop. So like if you're starting out, you know, you got your camera or whatever, and you can't go that low in aperture or that high in aperture with the stuff you have, because the lens you got is probably a kit lens if you're just starting out. Because, you know, I just started out with this whole new ecosystem of camera gear, and my old lenses don't fit with it. I have the kit lens and that's it. You just think you can't get it because you don't know anything else. But if you have some distance between the thing behind your subject, it'll focus on your subject and you will still be able to get some of that bokeh. And a lot of movies do it that way instead of just getting a camera with a low aperture. Point number 3 is the sound design. That is a make or break. Someone will watch your video if you don't have great exposure or you know there's not a whole lot of contrast, or you haven't color graded it, people will watch your video. But if your sound design is terrible, like if your sound is just awful, no one's gonna watch it. Also, to elevate it even more, you can do your own sound design and you know get your sound effects off of like Artlist or Motion Array or any of the other places that do sound effect or music. And I definitely recommend going in and having a subscription to something like Artlist or Motion Array. That will definitely level up your, like you make YouTube videos and you don't have a subscription with music on it that you can put on your YouTube videos, and then you're making videos for a while and you get some music that you can put on your videos, it makes a whole big difference. A lot of times people just slap a song on there and call it a day. That doesn't always work the best way. Like, know what the vibe of your video is going to be before you go and look for music, because if you go and look for a song and it's all happy-go-lucky and someone's getting murdered in an alleyway, then that's going to be really weird and you're going to confuse your viewers. So you want the music to match up with your video. This one is also kind of, you know, 2-in-1 is B-roll. If you don't have B-roll, then it's harder to keep your viewers' attention, because if you're, you know, if I'm sitting here and I'm just talking and the angle has not changed at all, you're just filming, it's filming me, you're looking at me, and I'm talking, and I just keep talking, and I don't shut up. I'm just sitting here talking, and the angle doesn't change. You're gonna get bored really quickly. So what you want is B-roll. Basically, you know, so like this is A-roll, and then the B-roll is what you put over it to keep people interested while the A-roll is going and you're talking. Or it's to give more context to what the viewer is looking at. So I'm talking about B-roll, so I'd go out and film someone filming B-roll, which is B-roll. And I'm gonna put it over this while I'm talking about B-roll. So you're watching B-roll of me filming someone doing B-roll while I'm talking about B-roll. Anyway, B-roll is important. It's not super hard. You kind of just film whatever that, you know, you film stuff and you put it over whatever it's related to, you know. The fifth one, it ties into this as well, slow motion. Slow motion is kind of like a cheat code to better, more cinematic footage. You don't want to overdo it, obviously. You don't want to like make an entire video and it's all slow-mo. Some slow-mo in your video will help. So like, you know, it ties in with B-roll is if you get your B-roll in slow motion of like, let's say I'm talking about a new camera, or I'm talking about the new iPhone, and I'm saying like, you know, I'm just talking about the iPhone. You can get some slow-mo shots of that iPhone and it looks amazing. Last thing that I wanted to talk about before ending this video is camera movement. It depends on the situation, but camera shakiness is not always good looking. Sometimes if you're filming like a scene where you know, a lot of action is happening, a little bit of camera shake is really good. It adds to it. It makes them feel more invested into the thing. So like someone running away from bullies or something, I don't know. Having some camera shake and getting close up makes it feel more like you're there and you're actually a part of it. It's like if you're filming like a talking scene and the camera's all, then that's not gonna be interesting. It's gonna make it harder for them to pay attention to what you're trying to show them. You don't need anything fancy. There's top handles you can put on your camera and it'll allow you to get a little bit more stable with everything. You can definitely hold it just, you know, regular and just keep it really, really steady. What I would recommend doing is either getting a gimbal or a top handle or a cam caddy. Doing that will allow you to get a little bit more stable footage because you're not holding it like this, you're allowing gravity to pull it down and you're holding it and it's a little bit more fluid. So if you don't have the money for a gimbal, don't worry about it. And if you don't even have enough money for a handle, then that's still fine. You can still hold it like regular, but you gotta work a little bit harder to keep it steady. You want the shakiness or not shakiness to fit the vibe as well as everything else. You don't have to do that. I wanna emphasize the fact that I'm not telling you what you have to do and have to not do, but these are what I think make videos more cinematic. That's pretty much all I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Click on this video or that video and watch it. And I will see you later.